Inside my head, or inside my brain, is that part of me which keeps me sane, which helps discern between right and wrong, and other things I'm gonna talk about in this song. It's time for the people to know, so now I tell them what goes on in my cerebrum and my cerebellum, the thought process that helps me get dressed, get up, and go to school.
Welcome back to the Mental Weight Room, where we train our brains as hard as we train our bodies. I'm your host, Antoinette Datoc, with another incredible conversation lined up to help you build mental strength, sharpen your focus, and perform at your best, on and off the field. Today, we're talking about something that's incredibly relevant to athletes, coaches, and parents alike: how we develop not just performance, but people. I'm joined by Tracy Morgan, a veteran performance coach whose work spans college athletics, pro sports, and youth development. Tracy's career began in collegiate sports with strength coaching roles at San Diego State, UC San Diego, and the University of Washington. Her success with the NFL Combine Prep led her to IMG, where she served as Assistant Director of Performance, training elite pros and developing a passion for working with youth athletes. For over 20 years now, Tracy has run her own training and consulting business, partnering with organizations like Nike, the Cleveland Indians, and Jim Kelly Enterprises. Since 2010, she's focused on lacrosse and currently coaches over 100 players in the Atlanta area. What sets Tracy apart is her unwavering belief that coaching is a lifelong pursuit, always evolving, always growing. Whether you're a coach, athlete, or parent, this episode is full of insight into what it takes to perform consistently, grow intentionally, and lead with purpose. Tracy, welcome to the Mental Weight Room. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here too. Thanks for having me, Antoinette.
Let's start with something you mentioned to me off mic. You brought up the evolving climate of athletics, particularly the roles coaches, athletes, and even parents play in today's sports environment. Can you unpack that a bit for us?
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot to say about the climate today and how much it's changed, and how much it is also evolving. But the word that I seem to keep coming back to is the word exceptional. It seems like we are demanding that our athletes are exceptional in order to be good enough.
Right.
Exceptional is the standard. It puts kids under a lot of pressure. It puts professional athletes under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You can see it in everything from social media to the competition of club sports, high school sports. There's no more picking up a sport and giving it a try. You have to be exceptional. And then you flip that to the other side, and the other side of that is we are also raising kids to be exceptions. The first thing I say to my team at the beginning of the season is, you're not exceptional. You're not exceptional. We're a team. So there's no raising your hand saying, but we have practiced at such and such a time, but I have. So it seems to be the word exception at its extremes that I'm dealing with. You know, we see it sometimes in professional sports, right? Everybody has to do something, well, except I.
Right.
You know, so I would say that that's the biggest kind of change in the climate. It's extreme pressure.
Right.
And yet also a raising of the hand saying, I'm exceptional. I'm going to take this exception.
Yeah, I understand the pressure of raising our athletes to be exceptional, but the I'm an exception part, that got me thinking about entitlement, you know? I think a lot of times people think just because they're elite athletes or high performers, they're entitled to something extra. No. I like your idea. We're a team. We work together. There's no I in team.
Right.
You know, the name on the back of the jersey is now more important than the name on the front of the jersey.
Yeah.
As a leader who coaches kids, how do you shift that mindset from that, number one, in order to be good, we have to be exceptional, and then on the flip side, there's no exceptions. Everybody does everything.
Self-discipline. So if you want to be exceptional, you have to have a certain level of self-discipline. I explain that to my coaches. I explain it to my kids, even in our parent meeting. The one demand that I have of my players, the expectation is self-discipline, which means you show up on time, you show up with your gear, your water bottle is full. That goes for little kids. For the big kids, it's you give me 100% effort, you show up with your gear, you take care of your teammates. I mean, that is self-discipline. And if you're self-disciplined, there is no exception. You may become exceptional,
Yeah, but
There,
there's no exception to the rules.
and
You know, it's funny. Yeah, I just did a podcast on discipline versus motivation and how discipline trumps motivation 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
no doubt.
Motivation comes and goes, but if you're disciplined, there's no choice. You
Right.
just do it. How do you model the right mindset? I think modeling mindset is huge for athletes, especially, youth athletes. I remember when I was a gymnastics coach, when I was on the mat, I never sat down. I would be coaching for 4 hours. I don't sit down because my gymnasts weren't allowed to sit down. And I always started from a place of humility too. I don't know everything, but I'm willing to learn. And can you share your thoughts on that?
Right. So you have to be self-disciplined yourself. I don't think I've ever missed a practice. I've never called out of a practice.
Yeah.
Yes. Keep your hands out of your pockets. Don't sit down. Don't walk around with your coffee. All of the things that you expect of your athletes, you have to do as if they come naturally. Of course, you're 30 minutes early to practice. Of course, you're the first one on the field. Of course, you're the first one to leave. And it's a modeling more than it is a saying. You just model it.
Right.
And tell them what their exceptions are or what their expectations are. But you model the behavior without talking about it. You don't bring up yourself ever. And I think that's super important. I think, and it's okay to say, like you said, it's okay to say, I don't know how to handle this, or I don't know the answer to this, because you should not know the answer to everything.
Right.
As long as you have a response and a plan, right.
Yeah. I'm going to pivot a little bit. I've heard you talk about something called the rule of 3 when it comes to coaching and connection, but I'd love for you to explain what it is and share how the idea evolved.
Yeah. So I think that, I really do. I believe part of my philosophy of coaching, which I do believe you have to have a philosophy. If you don't have a philosophy of coaching, then you kind of are going to be wavering all over the place.
Yeah.
And through my experience, I have found that connection is key. If you form a connection with your players, with your team, with your athletes, and you show them that you are connected, they will do anything for you and the team. So the way you connect with them is not necessarily digging into their personal lives or being friends with them. It is really just showing that I believe in you and I care about you. So the rule of 3 is, even on the busiest and chaotic days of the largest groups, at a minimum, you must make 3 contacts with each one of these players. The first one has to be a greeting. A kid cannot walk on the field without you acknowledging them, letting them know that you know they are there. Hello, how was your day? What's up? How you doing? Love your shoes. Different haircut. Doesn't matter. But they've got to be greeted when they walk on the field. 2 and 3, at least 2 and 3, or at least 2, needs to be feedback. They need to be seen during practice. That was a great job. Hey, this has improved. Wait, I need you to do it like this. Whatever it is, they need to be seen. Their performance needs to receive feedback. And at the very least, before they leave, you need to let them know that they have been seen. They did a great job, great effort, way to improve on this. Have a great night. Minimum. That's minimum.
Yeah. I love that. It's very intentional. I think intentionality is so often overlooked. What kind of impact have you seen this kind of consistent approach have on athletes? And then also the overall team environment, as well as impact on the parents?
So I think a lot of it is expectations. I think that everybody wants to know what they're getting in a relationship, right?
Right.
He wants to know, and I have another saying, it's called She's the Girl Who, and we do this intentional, like, who are you? What is your role on the team? What is your legacy? And at the end of 4 years, the seniors get this big framed piece that says She's the Girl Who, and we all fill it out. And it goes to show you, like, what is your role? So, and everybody knows this, right? So with me, I would say that people know that I'm consistent. I'm going to be at practice. I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to give you feedback. And I care. Am I going to be hard on you? Yes. But are you going to know that I care because I am talking to you and connecting with you and I'm checking in on you. And I'm giving you feedback, and I am progressing that feedback. Hey, it was this, now it's this. Look how far we've come. Knowing that you can rely on that, I think makes a greater bond, right? And having people know exactly what they're going to get with me or with any coach. I know exactly what I'm going to get with this person. That allows people to really perform at their best. And
Absolutely.
to shut
Absolutely.
down that, I wonder what today's going to be like. Could it be like this? Is she going to be like this? Is he going to be like
Right.
that?
Right.
Worst. That's the
Yeah.
feeling in any relationship, coaching or otherwise.
Yeah. Well, our brains thrive on predictability. Our
Yes.
brains like to be able to say, this is what's going to happen. And so when you provide that amount of clarity, it just fuels that mental resource, helps kids focus. For coaches and parents listening who want to be more intentional about connection, but might feel overwhelmed, unsure where to start. I know you said, 3 touch points, but if you're coaching, you've got 40 kids on the field, that can feel overwhelming. So what's one small practical shift you recommend that someone can make today to begin building that kind of consistency and trust with their athletes?
Watch and listen before you open your mouth. I talk a lot about a snapshot coach, and I think you and I talked about this briefly.
Yeah.
There are coaches that will see an athlete perform in an instant, and it's as if they've taken a photograph, and that snapshot is how they remember this child, right? Or this athlete or this player. And that's how they treat them. That's how they respond to them. That's where this kid lies, whether they made a mistake or whether they performed out of, completely out of their own bounds in an exceptional way. That is how this coach sees them. And they put them in these roles, in these blocks, and they close their mind. And this is who this athlete is in their head. And they give feedback and judgment.
Right.
And we're not seeing improvement in the kid. And
Yeah.
what you really need to do is have your mind open and understand that it's a movie, right? A lifetime movie that goes on forever, right?
Yeah.
You're doing it right. And these kids change. And today is not who they will be tomorrow. And, even for the youngest ones, I mean, if a kid's shoe isn't tied right, they're going to perform differently, right?
Right. Right.
Get into these older kids where it's, they've been working out so hard, their hamstrings are sore, or
Right.
you make them really nervous,
Yeah.
like dropping the ball, whatever it is, but you can't take a snapshot and judge these kids.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to keep your mind open, your mouth closed, and just watch and listen first.
As soon as you started talking about this, it immediately made me think about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset.
Yes.
And, the fundamental thing that with a growth mindset is to approach everything with curiosity. And it's the same thing. If you have this fixed impression of what your athlete looks like or what a particular kid does, everything you do is going to basically circumvent that judgment.
Yep.
And it's never going to change. It's never going to shift. But if you approach things with curiosity, like, oh, I wonder who's going to be here today. I think it makes a difference. We're coming up on time. I can't believe it's gone so fast. But before we wrap, I want to ask you, what keeps you so fired up about this work, even after all these years? Because I can tell you're so passionate about this.
Yeah, I feel so lucky to be able to have this job. I mean, I feel so lucky to have, found coaching so early on and just realize that this is what I love and this is what I'm good at. And I think you nailed it. I think it's a growth mindset. I think it's
Yeah.
case of things are never the same, right? One thing you can always get better at is coaching and how you deal with people. And the landscape throughout my career has changed so much that you have to grow or you're not going to keep up.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. And the world of sports is just what better atmosphere can you be in, than the world of sports? So it's exciting to be able to work in this industry. I love it.
There's something about when you've been an athlete your whole life and when you've had the pleasure of being around athletes your whole life, it's just really special. It just wraps a hold of you, doesn't it? Just grabs hold of you.
It really
It really does.
Such a fun environment.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your heart today. It's been a real pleasure. I hope you'll come back again and maybe we can talk about a more specific topic next time. This was just our first, I hope, of many conversations.
It's so fun, and I love that we're delving into these kind of topics. It's great.
Yeah.
You having me. I appreciate it.
That's a wrap on today's episode of The Mental Weight Room. Huge thanks again to Tracy Morgan for sharing her insight, her experience, and her heart for coaching. If you took something valuable from this conversation, which I know you did, do me a favor, share it with a fellow coach, parent, or athlete who could use a little mental fuel. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. While you're at it, leave a 5-star rating or a review. It helps more people find the show and keeps these important conversations going. To my listeners, thanks again for tuning in. This is Coach Antoinette and Coach Tracy signing off. And as always, keep showing up, doing the work, training your brain as hard as your body, and keep pushing your limits.